All right, Bird Gang, what is up? Welcome to the Philly Special Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Rudisil. Not a very bright podcast today, for obvious reasons. I'm trying to remain calm and cool like I was all of Sunday. Pretty disappointing, to say the least. Man, you know, we get off last week's podcast, right? We're talking about, dang, you know, the Eagles are looking good. Giants twice, Jets, Washington twice, you know, pretty favorable schedule to get ourselves to at least 9, even 10 wins. And then kind of what I said at the beginning of the year, the Eagles are going to have their roller coaster. We're going down. we were elevating, we got to the top, and it's shooting down now. And yeah, this was a poor performance. I don't need to tell you that. You watched the game. But let's kind of diagnose what we saw. I'll give you my feedback, my thoughts on this, because this was such a really, really disappointing game after what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. You know, you beat a team where you're not favored to win against Denver, beat a team where you're not favored to win against New Orleans. And now here we are, finally, not dogs, and we just blow up against the Giants offensively. You know, I'll just talk defense real quick because I don't have a lot to say, because honestly, I thought they did a pretty good job. If you hold a team to 13 points, especially a team, you know, like the Giants, where the Eagles were coming off of a 40-point performance last week, you should win the game, right? I don't think there's a lot of blame here to toss on the defense. They did a good job of containing Saquon. I think they could have done a better job of getting to Daniel Jones in this game, but they still put enough pressure on him to, you know, make bad decisions. They got some sacks. Coverage was good. You know, really no complaints. You hold the team to 13 points, you should win the game, especially when the offense has 4 turnovers. To hold them to 13 points, that's pretty impressive. So big shout out to the defense, Jonathan Gannon. I think they're starting to come around. If they can keep that pace, this kind of feels like the kind of time where, like, next week against the Jets, we're going to play really well on offense, and the defense is going to do terrible. That's just kind of how this Eagles team in the past few years has worked. You know what I mean? Like, one is really high, the other's really low. And I'll tell you what, in this game against the Giants, the offense was very, very low. And I don't really know where to start. There's so much negative, really from 3 key perspectives. And I think it's Jalen Hurts' decision-making, Nick Sirianni's coaching, and Jalen Reagor's everything. So let's start with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, you know, he hasn't really proven himself to be a good passer in the NFL yet. He's had some games with some decent yards. He's tore up, you know, less than stellar secondaries, but most of his work has been done on the ground. He's a really good runner, but I've yet to really see him have a spectacular passing game. I'm just being honest. You know, he's lacked kind of on the deep ball. He hasn't done a great job of fitting it into coverage, going through his progressions. We've been through that before already. And in this game, man, he looked really, really bad. Bad decisions, bad passes. You know, the one that irks me the most, and, you know, we saw Brian Westbrook talking about it on Twitter, is that pass at halftime, man. You are putting together a great drive to put yourself back into this game. You're down 3-0, right? Very least, you're walking away here with 3 points, unless just, you know, we have to blame Jake Elliott for something, or, you know, a blocked kick or something. But Jesus, I mean, you cannot scramble out to the right side like that and just throw it to nobody. I mean, there was nobody there, threw it right to the Giants. It was a terrible decision, terrible pass. And you do 2 things, right? A, we're not scoring, so we're not taking the lead. We're not tying it up. We're going down into halftime. But the biggest thing, you have sunk the ship as far as the momentum on our side, and you've raised the sails for the Giants. All the momentum just shifted for them going into halftime. At the very least, we could have been tied 3-3. And it's like, wow, we had a terrible first half, but at least we're tied 3-3. No, sank those chances. And I think at that point, a lot of people, including myself, were like, this game's in trouble. You could feel it. And that was a really good turning point for Jalen Hurts to, mentality-wise, be like, you know, I messed up, I shouldn't have done that, but we're only down 3 points. I can put together a drive, and boom, we're right back in it. And that just, it didn't happen until the last play, or the last series, rather. They just couldn't put anything together. And I think, as a matter of fact, that opening play at halftime or opening drive ended in a turnover, or at least a quick turnover on downs. So bad, just bad football from Jalen Hurts. And it's surprising because he's really been good at fitting it in pass-wise where it needs to go, finding the right target the last, 3-4 weeks. And this game, nothing, man. I mean, he just completely lost it. And hopefully that's not going to affect him. We've got another easy matchup here against the Jets. Hopefully he just turns that around and, let a bad game be a bad game. But there's certainly question marks after that. And for a guy that's, I would still say fighting for his job with the picks that the Eagles are going to have coming in, this is a big deal. And he needs to right it really, really quickly. And it's not all his fault, because I think Nick Sirianni he's lost his mind on this game. I don't know if his mentality was, hey, we're playing the Giants. We're coming off of 2 big wins against teams we should have lost to. Let's try to get the pass game incorporated again. Maybe that was his thought process. But here's the thing, man. He even said, I think afterwards in an interview, that he wants to get the pass game going. I don't care about it, because the pass game's not winning football games. All right? And I don't care if it's better off in the long run if we get the pass game going, because the Eagles are still a playoff team potentially. The long run, we can't think about that with the amount of losses we have right now. We can't afford to lose another game, right? Because it's not going to matter. What's winning us games is the run game. And as soon as they started running the ball, they moved it right down the field and scored. You know what I mean? The run game opens up the pass game. I've said it a million times this year. It's that simple. The run game opens up the pass game. And in this one, he tried it the other way around, just like he did earlier in the year. And it very much looked like the Eagles team earlier in this year, where we're just trying to get Hurts going by having him keep throwing and making bad mistakes. That's definitely on Hurts, but it's also on the coaching and the play calling, because eventually you have to run it. And as soon as they ran it, just like weeks ago, it started to work. And by the time I think he figured that out, it was too late. It was already, 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter, and we have to be passing the ball. So bad job by Sirianni and the play calling there. I don't know why it was pass, run, or pass, turnover on downs. It's stupid. It was stupid. It got to the point, and I was telling this to my friends, where I want him to run on first down, I want him to run on second down, and if it's third and medium or third and short, you're running again. The only time I want to see a pass is third and long. That's it. Until that last drive, obviously. So let's get into the last drive, because this is obviously the biggest takeaway, since it was the last play of the game, and it was pretty major. Jalen Reagor after everything that's happened in this game, all the mistakes that were made, the terribleness on the offense and the play calling, Jalen Hurts, the cherry on top is this Jalen Reagor play at the end of the game, because this man went up for this ball untouched, uncovered, wasn't going to get hit coming down with it. Hit him in the hands, hit him in the body, and he dropped it to lose the game. How do you let that happen, man? You're a professional wide receiver. This is what you do for a living, all right? Nobody's touching him. There's no coverage. The ball's coming right at him, and he dropped it. And he dropped one earlier in that same drive. It was a great pass by Hurts. This is the only credit I'm going to give him in this game. Great pass. Put it right where it had to be. So, a little bit of holding. It was good coverage, but he still should have caught it. You're a professional wide receiver, and there's absolutely no excuse for what happened on that last play. And it lost us the game. And people have already been upset with Jalen Reagor. It didn't provide much last year. He was hurt last year, but he still didn't provide much when he was on the field. But this year, man, what's he done? He's still quiet. It's silent with him out there on the field. And I think the problem is, if he was just anybody, people would say that too, especially Eagles fans. Like, this guy is worthless pretty much. But you're looking at CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, and the amount of production that each of them have had for the Vikings and the Cowboys, respectively. What are we doing with Jalen Reagor? What is the point? Because the Eagles were in a position to trade up for CeeDee Lamb, right? And they were literally literally could have picked Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is well on his way to another 1,000-yard receiving season with the Vikings. Looks like he's probably going to go over 10 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb has been a little bit of injury prone, but still putting up a pretty impressive resume this season, and he was great last year. Jalen Reagor, 2 seasons in, looking like a bust, probably going to find his replacement next year. I said this 2 seasons ago when, very first podcast on the Philly Special, you can go back and listen to it, that the Eagles with Jalen Reagor, his career is always going to be compared to Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, if not by the football world, by me, because we were in a position to grab either one of them. Now, you could make the counter argument that, but then we would have gotten Devontae Smith. Maybe so, but it doesn't matter. In that moment, they made a bad decision. The first 2 picks were terrible. Look, I know Jalen Hurts, the jury's still up in that. We've seen some good, we've seen some bad, but I don't think it was the right time or place to draft Jalen Hurts when you still have Carson Wentz there, but I'm not getting back into that. That was all last season stuff. Jalen Reagor, though, the Eagles are still feeling that to this day. That is an option that is non-existent. I would argue to say J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has done more to help the Eagles win than Jalen Reagor this season. And that's a statement because he hasn't caught a pass, I don't think, or at least he's caught a couple here in the last couple weeks. But blocking is what I'm talking about. He's done a good job blocking. Jalen Reagor, he's not good on special teams. We're not running any kicks back, any punts back. We're not getting any special kind of yards. He's not having 25, 30-yard returns, and he's dropping game-winning touchdowns. That's Jalen Reagor's resume for the Eagles. This is the most notable thing he's done since coming to Philadelphia, is dropping the game-winning touchdown against the Giants, which now has secured that the Eagles are in a desperate fight now to get back into the playoff race. Minnesota win? Doesn't matter. Between Minnesota and San Francisco and Washington now, who's, getting better, it seems, every time. This is a tough time to get back in. They needed this win. And it was right there for the taking. They should have won this game if it wasn't for 4 turnovers and a drop touchdown at the end of the game. As much as I've shit on Jalen Reagor here in the last, 3-4 minutes, it's not all his fault when you look at everything that could have happened before this. Yeah, it is his fault because we should have won the game on this catch. He's definitely held responsible for that. But there were plenty of other times where we were across the 50-yard line and didn't walk away with points. That's just facts. It was a terrible game by everybody on the offense side of the ball. So, where do we go from here? We're playing the Jets. If we can't beat the Jets, it's a wrap. We should go home now. The Eagles are, I think, 7-point favorites to open up, like minus 250, something like that on the money line. We should beat the Jets. I don't care if it's in New York. Because, especially coming off of a game like that, they have everything to prove in this one against one of the worst teams in the NFL. And the Jets don't have anything special for them. The receiving core, especially if Corey Davis isn't going to play. Elijah Moore's the only one you got to worry about. Darius Slay picks him up. We're good to go. Get to the quarterback. It's the same recipe they've had all the time on the offensive side of the ball, which is the most important thing right now, based on what I've seen by the defense the last few weeks and the offense. Is you have to establish your game plan early and stick with it. And that game plan has to be giving the ball to whoever is going to be in the backfield, whether that's Boston Scott, whether it's Jordan Howard if he's healthy, or Miles Sanders, which I'm hoping Sanders is going to be healthy. Feed him. Feed them. And that will open up the pass game, and they should win this game by, 17 points. I really believe that. And you have that bounce back game, and then you just have to keep going on that roll we talked about. The Eagles are looking at, if you look at my predictions, 9 wins this season, I think, if they win all the games besides the Cowboys. Could put you in with three wild card spots. So it's definitely not over. But this was a big hit, and it wasn't very good for the confidence of Eagles fans. Not mine, not good for the team either. But we're going to see what Jalen Hurts is made of. We're going to see what Sirianni's made of. How do you bounce back from a game like that? Yes, you're playing a bad team, but you just lost to a bad team. So how do you bounce back? And what I want to see is just more aggressive runs, run a lot. I want to see 25, 30 carries. I want to see a lot of running, whether it's Hurts, whether it's Sanders, whether it's Scott. I don't care. And I guarantee they'll win. So, last thing I want to say is big shout out to Jake Elliott. I think he was like 8 for 8 on field goals or something like that. 8 for 8 on field goals, I think. And didn't miss an extra point either in the month of November. For a guy that we were kind of messing around and kind of shitting on a little bit last year, really done a nice job this season when he gets an opportunity to kick, which isn't a ton, and he hasn't had to kick in real high-pressure situations, but he's making it. The guy is definitely keeping his job by making field goals, and that's all you need. I'm kind of worried. It makes me a little skeptical after I just saw that he was perfect in November. We're going to get into a weird situation where we need to make like a 38, 40-yard field goal, and he's going to miss it, and I'm going to be like, God. But hopefully that's not the case. Jake, keep up the good work. That's it for me, man. I think this Giants game is hopefully just a fluke, a fork in the road, and we're going to pick the right direction and keep going on this win streak. That we can't look too far ahead, right? Because Washington's looking really tough right now. We still got to play them twice. But you cannot overlook this Jets game after what just happened with the Giants. You cannot overlook this Jets game because it does feel like one like Miami last year or 2 years ago where it should have been a win and they lost. This has a feeling of that kind of game. So hopefully we get back to the game plan on offense. The defense stays strong, and this is a breeze for the Eagles. And we can look forward to a bye week, I believe, and then Washington. So this has been the Philly Special Podcast. Subscribe, like, check us out, Spotify, YouTube, or on Twitter. So thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully the Eagles get this W against the Jets, and I'll get at you guys again next week. Have a good night.